So today at work I was clearing out a big pack of wooden scaffold boards, and underneath those scaffold boards I found an abundant amount of insects that range from spiders, which I'm terrified of, woodlice, centipedes, things like that, and that really gave me inspiration for my next project on Planet Zoo. This project being an underground cave walk-through exhibit area. I thought, I'm surrounded by insects at work, why not also do them at home and be around them all the time? So my plan was to build some sort of mound. It looks awful at the moment, and it still does by the end of the video, but I shall be sprucing it all up around the sides, adding a nice kind of walk area. I'm going to hopefully go for a tropical kind of vibe. I want to have some waterfalls, rock features, obviously loads of trees and things like that. But that's the overall goal of this. So first step was to, as I said, build the mound. Then I needed to chisel through it to create a walkway. I wasn't too worried about getting this dead level at the start. This did prove to be a bit of a challenge towards the end, but got there in the end. We fixed it, and I'm quite happy with it overall. One problem I did keep having, as you'll probably see throughout the video, was my vision was getting blocked by either this one giant tree, which now looking back at it, I should have just removed and replaced once I was done, and also the walls from the cheetah exhibit I built last episode. It just, I don't know, I feel like maybe I should have had it a little bit further away from that, just so I wasn't kind of clipping through and getting stuck in the walls. It was really blocking my vision, but we managed to push through and get through it. We powered on. Now that the tunnel itself had been chiseled out properly, I needed to flatten the surface for the path because I didn't want a completely bumpy, unnatural, I guess would be a good way to describe it. An unnatural kind of path, just because it'd be horrible to walk on in real life, and I'm trying to keep the zoo somewhat realistic, so that'll involve overpricing, overcrowding. It's a big one, which definitely 100% happens with this tunnel. By the end of it, it's like a meat market in there. Sorry to any vegans, but yeah, it's like a meat market in there. It's just, oh, I would not want to be in there. But hey, these guys do exist, so we're all cool with that. I actually quite enjoyed using the terrain tools whilst building this, because I don't normally use them when I'm building in this game. And for any of the good old retro Superstar Chimp guys out here, back when I played Zoo Tycoon 2 and recorded that, I never used to use much terrain tool, like worker tool. I don't know, at the time I quite liked it all just being flat and level. I guess it was just a way of it just looked nice, it looked like artwork in my own way. Leave it alone, leave it out. In my own way it looked like artwork to me, and I was very happy with it. But I'm going to try and use the terrain tools a lot more throughout this series, and even just playing Planet Zoo in general. I think there's a lot of stuff you can do with it, and stuff I've seen people do online on YouTube and stuff like that. Unreal, absolutely unreal. I get a lot of inspiration and stuff for this series, to be honest, using that. But going back to what I said earlier, like I said, I saw some insects and stuff in work, and straight away, during my break, I had a little look up for some kind of walk-through tunnel things. Found a few ideas, learned how to actually do it, because I've got a clue. At this point I'm just chiseling away a bit more at the sides, so I can actually fit the exhibits themselves in. I didn't really know what layout I wanted in terms of the exhibit boxes, if I wanted just them all in a row, if I wanted them dotted all over the place, how much I wanted you to be able to like kind of see through into the exhibit, if I just wanted one big flat surface to look through, or if I wanted to do like a kind of roundish kind of hole that you see in some zoos. But I ended up settling with the flat surface and mostly in a row except from on one side. I kind of went absolutely crazy with the rocks at that point once again. There's always going to be rocks involved in this zoo. I might even change the name of the zoo at this point, so keep an eye out for that one. If anyone has any tips for me about this kind of stuff, by the way, please don't hesitate to comment down below. I will 100% read and reply to it. I will take any advice, any criticism, because I'm still relatively new to properly building in this. I normally just stick to placing the kind of already pre-made custom structures, if that makes sense. So kind of free building I'm very new to, and I'm trying to learn a lot. I'm watching a lot of videos on it. So if anyone who's watching this has got any tips, please do let me know down below, and I'll 100% read it and hopefully try and use any help I get given. So my main goal for this cave was I wanted a lot of rocks, and not just randomly placed, but I wanted a main rock feature. Granted, that wasn't my first decision. I was hoping to get another exhibit in that gap just there. I ended up settling for a nice big rock feature with a waterfall in the back of it, which ended up looking a lot nicer than I thought it would, and I'm quite happy with it. It took me a little while to figure out exactly how I wanted it all to look with this main rock feature, but I ended up settling with mostly using small rocks, and oddly enough, even though it's a tropical kind of styled cave, I guess, I went for temperate rocks. I know you can change the colour of rocks, but for those of you that don't know, I actually am quite badly colourblind. Don't get me wrong, not everything's black and white to me, but I struggle to tell the difference between a lot of the colours, especially on these stupid colour charts. I can hardly tell the difference between most of them. Like, obviously you get the lines, but going down that line towards the bottom especially, I cannot see the different gradients and things like that. A good example of my colourblindness, whatever you want to call it. With rainbows, I see two colours, and that's the God honest truth. I see two colours, and I only, within the last few years, mentioned that. I said it to my girlfriend, and I said, I don't really understand what the hype is about rainbows. They're just so dull. She goes, well, what do you mean? Because there was one up in the sky when we were driving. I was a passenger, don't worry, I'm not an unsafe driver. But yeah, I was just looking up at it, just thinking, it's just so dull, there's nothing to it. She goes, so what do you mean? Well, there's two colours, blue and yellow. And obviously on all the cartoons and stuff, you see, I don't even know what colours you see. I can't remember the name, you know, the order they go in and things like that. There's meant to be some green in there or something, I think. But yeah, just blue and yellow, and that's all I see. So I just went with temperate rocks because to me they look the most natural coloured rock-like that I was going for. So yeah, ignore the whole temperate rock in a tropical cave. Ignore that. Let me off this one time, please. I didn't want the rocks around the individual exhibits to just be flat and kind of all level as just one big rock face. I did want them kind of protruding out in some places and going in, dipping in at some places, because I've never liked, because I've seen it in real life in some zoos, where it's just a rocky looking wall, but it's very level, very just very man-made, if that makes sense. So I was kind of hoping to go for a more random style rock face here. I also didn't just want the rocks to be on the top and the walls. I also wanted the kind of go on the bottom of the exhibits. Because like I said earlier, at this point I still wasn't too sure if I wanted it to just be flat or if I wanted to kind of have little circular windows more central in the exhibit itself. But like I said, I've gone for flat, and I end up just kind of making an uneven looking window, if that makes sense, is at the bottom. I really wanted to get rid of the borders of the exhibit frames. That's one thing I was 100% certain on. I pretty much made up my mind now, so, like, knowing that I'll just do a flat window, because you'd have people just lining up looking at rocks most of the time otherwise. That's how it would look, at least in game. I know they're still programmed, so they'll be looking at the animals itself, but I just wanted to make it look somewhat nice. So I wanted to clear up the borders as much as I could. I ended up using these little rock pillars, these thin ones. Thought they looked best, and rather than leaving them as just flat surfaces going up, of course I went around with loads of little rocks, tidied that up, just made it look a bit more bumpy and ruggedy and things like that. So I don't think I've quite actually explained where I've been these last 6 years, what I've been doing, and why I decided to get back into YouTube again. And most importantly, why I decided to use Superstar Chimp rather than creating a brand new one and starting fresh. So firstly, where have I been? I've been in 2 different cities. One is my hometown, which is Bristol in the United Kingdom. You can't tell by my accent, I sound like a proper farmer, as I'm sure most people like to say about the Southwest accent. They're very, very true. Secondly, I went to university in the United Kingdom, but I studied zoology, but I ended up dropping out of there recently because of financial reasons due to the cost of living crisis that we're going through right now. Just an absolute killer. Ugh. But yeah, so I ended up dropping out of there, and the course itself wasn't quite what I was hoping it would be. Oddly, I was doing computer coding to make graphs, and just I didn't want to do that. That wasn't why I was there. And after a lot of thinking and a long time, I decided to drop out. Now I'm back in Bristol. I'm working full time Monday to Friday. I am a yard operative, as my contract states. But what that basically is people, scaffolders and other builders and things like that, come into the yard. I will serve them. That ranges from scaffold boards, which are long wooden planks, if you will, long metal tubes, loads of different sizes, and fittings for scaffolding and loads of other things, but I won't bore you with all that. But that's what I'm currently doing. Why I decided to go back to Superstar Chimp was because of, and it kind of links to the whole reason of why I wanted to restart YouTube again, was because, one, my friends always pestered me, oh, when's Superstar Chimp coming back? And I honestly said I'd like to do it, but I don't know when, and I don't have a computer. Well, the previous computer, my fault really, never upgraded it, didn't quite have the money at the time to upgrade it, and I ended up just not playing on my PC anymore. Therefore I couldn't play stuff to record, and whenever I did record, which was towards the end, which I think I was doing a Zoo Tycoon series at the time, one of many, because I kept starting over. It was weird, but you know, that was 2016. I was younger at least. But yeah, every time I'd go to edit and upload and things like that, they just kept corrupting. I reinstalled Sony Vegas. I reinstalled everything. I had to re-record loads of things, and the same problem would just occur over and over again. But I've now got a new computer, courtesy of my friend. I've got a quite a nice setup. I built my own desk because I didn't really want to buy one because really a few bits of wood, they're just not worth how much they cost. So I ended up building my own. It's a nice corner desk. It's painted black, varnished, and technically I got it for free because all the parts are scrap wood. So if you want to think about it that way, I recycled. I'm saving the planet. But yep, and then courtesy of my girlfriend last Christmas, she broke my heart. Nope. She got me a monitor and an MSI one. She got me a lovely Corsair keyboard and a lovely matching Corsair mouse. So thank you to her, and thank you to my friend for selling me his computer, which is a million times better than my last one. So really, I'm only back because, like, I've only been able to come back, sorry, because of people around me, and I can't thank those people enough. So just a little life lesson for you all here. Value the people around you, because they really will turn up and show up for you when you need them most. But why I got back as well, I would quite a lot go through my old videos. I wouldn't watch them all, Christ, I can't stand hearing my own voice. But a lot of the time I'd go through the comments, and I absolutely loved getting to interact with viewers and things like that. And, you know, with Zoo Tycoon in particular, I'd have people asking for certain dinosaurs, certain monkeys, things like that, because I was modding it at the time, so I was uninstalling everything. Probably corrupted it, to be fair, but yeah, and then people asking for it in the previous video, and then I'd go in and add them all, and then I'd get all these other people, so, you know, asking for things, then the previous people saying thanks, and then you get a nice back and forth of, like, you know, conversation going. And I really missed that the most. That was my absolute favourite thing to do. I would say I probably preferred doing that more than I did actually playing the games. It just meant a lot getting to talk to people who enjoyed my videos enough to actually take time out of their day to comment as well, and then come back for the next one because they wanted to see if I'd actually had their animal. And of course I always would. That goes the same to anyone watching this. If there's anything, and I mean anything that you want in this zoo that's capable, you know, that's actually in the game. I have no idea if you can even install mods for this, like with new animals, so bear with me with that request. But if you want any actual animal for me to put into the zoo for the next episodes, please do comment, because it means the world to me and I love getting to do that. It's one of my absolute favourite things. But yeah, that's pretty much where I've been, what's happened, and why I'm back. And as always, I would like to just say to anyone who's here from those days, sorry for going, and I'm very, very happy to be back. And fun fact, I've actually still got the same microphone, the Blue Yeti, that I used to use back then. It still works, and young me decided to wrap it all up properly, put it away with all the cables and things like that. By all the cables I mean the power cable. And yeah, it still works, so that helped a ton. But yep, so that's where I've been, and I hope I've kind of cleared any questions that anyone might have had up. What really bothers me, you know, rewatching this whilst adding the commentary, because I rewatch it, add commentary at the same time whilst I'm editing. There's a little behind the scenes for you all there. But yeah, what really bothers me watching it now is it took me so long, because I've sped the video up a little bit, but it's took me so long to get the rocks how I like them. And then, as you'll see later in the video, I had a lot of problems which made me change a lot of things. And yeah, it took me so long to do these rocks and get it to a point where I was somewhat happy with them, just to have to change it all pretty much and move everything again. It's an absolute kick in the ass, but we got there. actually currently deciding to whether or not to start a series on Ark as well. If I do, which I am planning to do, I'm also going to ask my very close friend Ben. I've linked him in the channel before, Cab to Cab, used to be Ben71824, until an awful thing happened. He got copyright struck. They took his channel down, and yeah, long story short, lost everything, and it was really horrible for him. I know it affected him a lot. He put a lot of effort in. But I'm going to be asking Ben if he'd be interested. If not, it'll be just me. And I'm going to be definitely, this Planet Zoo will be up every Thursday still. But I'm also going to try and get another video up during the week of Ark. Whether or not it's going to be a complete playthrough or just, you know, bits going through it, like funny moments or important moments like taming dinosaurs or any animal, or defeating bosses, or just me getting my ass kicked by a fucking T-Rex, because that happens all the time, just raptors, anything. So let me know down below if you'd be interested in that. I will be posting a little update soon just to let you know when that'll be starting. One great thing that I find about Planet Zoo is just how imaginative you can be and how much freedom it gives you. That goes for like being able to rotate things properly, not just you know, spin them, but you can do like, is it y-axis? You can like make them go top to bottom. Does that make sense? I don't know. But you can literally do anything you want with them. You can shrink them into things. You can pull them out, put them in. Not what she said. You can have them any height you want. I just think that's one thing this game's done incredibly well. It's just given you so much opportunity, and I found that so useful creating this, because in like games like as everyone would know, holds a very special place in my heart. Games like Zoo Tycoon 2, you were a little bit limited with those kind of things. You can install mods where you could obviously have less restraints when it comes to placing rocks and trees and stuff near each other, but this game you get complete freedom straight off the bat, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. Anyone who's thinking about getting this game, definitely would recommend it. I'm pretty sure I've heard that they're still going to be adding, I think, 3 DLCs this year, and then that's going to be it. But there's already at least 6, maybe probably more. 6 off the top of my head, I think. And they will add animals, buildings, loads of different things. It's just, everything is worth it. But just, there's so many little nicks and stuff like that you can do in this game that just take it that one extra step that other games have kind of failed to do in the past. This waterfall that I've managed to do, honestly, it's probably one of the nicest things I've ever done. It's so small, but I just absolutely love how it turned out. So at this point, rather than just being rocks, I also want to get some vegetation in there to add a bit of other, other colours, just to make it look less like just one rock hole. I wanted it to have that overgrown tropical cave kind of feeling that you get, a bit like the lush cave biomes in Minecraft, when you're in one you know about it, and I kind of wanted this to have that. So as you'll see, I've got loads of plants. I've used the technique of putting trees down into the ground to act as bushes, only small trees, but you don't want some giant fucking bunch of leaves covering the whole path. But I just think these little things that you can do now really add a little bit of vibrance and just make it that little bit extra better. So one thing I definitely learned whilst building a Planet Zoo, especially this series in particular, is on how to make things look a bit more natural and less man-made. For me, the biggest thing would be to merge plants into rock features, because it kind of looks like they're growing there like they would in the wild. Granted, you wouldn't get trees with the leaves just coming out the ground, unless that's kind of what bushes are. Not too sure on that one. But I'd say adding little things like that really bring out an extra level with habitats, walk-through areas, even just little decorative areas that you might want around your plazas and things like that. So if there's anything you want to take away from this video, I'd say it'd be that, just because it really does increase that level, that one little extra bit. So as you might notice, I've gone absolutely wild with plants, and I will continue to do so throughout this video, as you'll see. But that's just to emphasise on the importance of how much better it does make your habitats and walkthroughs look. It really does, and it's just so important to do that from what I've gathered. Adding vines and making them look good is something I do struggle with though. I can't quite get the angles right on them without them making it look like they're just kind of floating in midair, or they just don't look right. That is one thing I do really struggle with, but I should get better at it over time, and I do want to start incorporating them into exhibits more, habitats more, sorry. So for instance, obviously Superstar Chimp, I've got to have some primates. It's going to have vines, ropes, things like that. But before I add that, I'm trying to work on making that look more natural and just fit in, rather than just have some random rope coming out of nowhere, or some vines that just look awful, just look random, just don't fit in at all. So I want to try to work on stuff like that. So throughout this series, as I said back in the first episode, I want to be able to look back at this, and from the first episode to the last episode, and see just how much it's kind of improved. And I will probably do I want to do some YouTube shorts, but rather than just some weird random videos, I'd have them as more sprucing up habitats that we've done in the past. So for instance, the meerkats, I'm going to probably do some stuff on them. Not anytime soon, because I don't think I'm at a level yet to drastically improve that. But that's a little project I'm hoping to work on eventually. But I'm also, if I ever get good at building, I'd like to do a few little tutorials of things like that. Just feel like that would be quite a nice little way to spread a little bit of knowledge and add some more behind the scenes of the series and expand the series a bit. Rather than just being a solid playthrough, it also have a few little bits and bobs of things that I won't share with just the normal episodes. So if you like the sound of that, let me know down below, and I'll be sure to get back to you. On that note, I am quite tempted to go back. I'll probably do it off camera just because there's nothing interesting, but add some mulch to cover up the grass. Just feel like it'll look a bit nicer in the cave rather than grass strips with plants on. I feel like if it was more muddy, and I just don't fits it at all. So that's something I'm going to go back on and do, but it'll be things like that I will put onto YouTube Shorts, and obviously some other more interesting things than just putting down mud, because really, who wants to see that? I'm sure there's some people out there, but I don't know who. I'm still not too sure on what I want to do with the roof of the cave. At the moment, I've left it just as it is, because I'm honestly not too sure what to do with lighting. I don't want to just cover that in rocks as well, because I think it would look just too much of a solid colour. And like I said before, I'm not that good with vines and things like that yet. I would like to have some dangling down, but I'm just overall not too sure. So if anyone's got any suggestions on what they like to do with these things, let me know. I'm going to try and watch a few more videos, get some more ideas, and try to teach myself a thing or two, because I definitely need a little bit of teaching with this. So after a lot of playing around and trying to get things into shape and get things looking how I wanted them to, it's finally time to add the animals. I went through and tried picking more tropical animals, stuff you would kind of see normally in these kind of exhibits and zoos. I didn't obviously want to go for butterflies, because it'd be better in a walkthrough butterfly house, which I'd like to do at some point, but I haven't got a clue how yet. I need to look at that. But yeah, so I went for more tropical animals, went for snakes, frogs, iguanas, because I thought that would be cool. Spiders, once again I'm terrified of them, but they are pretty cool, so I've added a few of those. And mostly try keeping it more like, insecty, arachnid kind of themed. But at the same time, I feel like you can't really have a thing like this about dart frogs, snakes, and iguanas. I just thought looked cool. I know they're not the normal thing you'd see in there, but I couldn't resist them, and I didn't know there was two types. I always thought it was just the green iguanas. I absolutely love the amount of different animals you can get in this game, and that doesn't just count for habitat animals, but exhibit animals as well. Like, there's just so many options. Obviously, you've got less freedom in terms of designing their exhibits. You can do a few little things, but a lot of games wouldn't put in that detail. But you can do so much. You can add so many things to them, and I absolutely love it. It actually took me a little while to pick which animals I wanted to. It was this point I realised that my terrain was actually going into the exhibits and basically cutting them in half and just making them look atrocious. It took me a lot of playing around. I actually had to demolish one side of the cave itself and delete all of the exhibits, replace them all, things like that, in order to get the terrain out of the exhibits. I didn't mind a little bit of it in there, because I think some bits made it look quite nice, but at the moment, as it was, you couldn't see anything apart from bloody soil. So I've gone ahead and deleted half the cave, deleted all the exhibits, moved all my precious rocks. I've done it, and quite happy with how it looks now, and I learned a lesson for the future, and that was to do my terrain after I got the initial structure down. I think that caused me a lot of problems for this, but you know, I've learned something, and if someone else is just thinking about doing something, they've just learned that, then yeah, please don't do your terrain before you start putting all your exhibits in. Makes it 10 times harder, and I regret doing it that way a lot, because I would have saved myself a lot of like tedious time. That pretty much wraps it up. So we've accomplished it. We've managed to do the walkthrough cave exhibit area. I'm very happy with it. But I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know what you thought below. I will catch you all later. And as always, you've been amazing. Adios.